A month of the NFL season is already behind us. Now, before we dominate month two of fantasy, I hope fantasy is going well for you this season. If not, we have a great community here on the channel. So if you have any questions about your lineup or you just want a second opinion, I'm here for you. Drop everything down in the comment section and I get back to every single one. But let's dive into the week 5 waivers in fantasy football. Again, this is where we got to get hot. Let's start at the most important position in fantasy football, the running back. Now, if you have any injuries so far this season or a lot of players just underperforming, this could be a bolt of energy for the next couple of weeks. Woody Marks, of course, young player out of USC a couple years ago, has now had his breakout week in the NFL. Last week, he did it all for this team that got their first win on the season. 17 carries, about 70 yards and a touchdown on the ground. If he just did that, we would be excited to pick him up this week regardless. But then he gave us the cherry on top. 4 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown to go along with it. Nick Chubb is a shell of his former self, unfortunately, as a Cleveland Browns fan. But Woody Marks is taking advantage of this opportunity and this injured and older backfield. And again, he showed out last week. The only thing I will say about Woody Marks, pick him up and just stash him, man. You can play him next week in a game against Baltimore, a defense that has struggled this season. However, if you don't want to play him, you can keep him away from your league mates. And this is a team in a backfield where if Joe Mixon returns and he's not himself, maybe Woody Marks doesn't really tail off like we're expecting him to once Joe Mixon returns to the field, which should be in about 2 or 3 weeks. But at the running back position, Woody Marks should be the #1 pickup on the weekend. Now, at the receiver position, we're going to talk about the rookie out of Stanford, Alec Manor, a guy that over the last 3 weeks in this Tennessee offense has averaged about 11 fantasy points a week and 6 targets a week. So he's getting the volume, and though last week was a bit of a downer, he's been really, really surprising so far this season. Now, the Titans need a win on the road in Arizona next week, and they're going to have to throw. I think that's a winnable game for this Tennessee offense, and Alec Manor being the bigger body wide receiver that he is, he's become a favorite of Cam Ward, and I think he will have to continue to be next week against the Arizona Cardinals. He's only owned in about 30% of platforms, so he should be out there. Go grab him, stash him. I'm not saying start him, but let's go along with this ride of Alec Manor, and let's see if he can turn into a weekly starter. Here is the tail of the tape, and yes, I know my face cam is blocking some numbers, but what you need to know is that every name on your screen is owned in 50% or less of the major 2 platforms of Yahoo and ESPN fantasy leagues. At the quarterback position, you have an exciting option in Jackson Dart and a safer option in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's had 20-point performances in 3 straight weeks. For Jackson Dart last week, made his debut. They won the game, and hopefully the momentum of the Giants offense goes forward. However, he did just lose Malik Neighbors for the season. So now at the receiver position, of course, we talked about Alec Manor, but the main guy this week should be Wan'Dale Robinson. I know on the Yahoo leagues, he's owning about 55% of leagues. ESPN, it's much more. So if Wan'Dale Robinson is there, he's going to be the #1 guy in a Giants offense that should try and get this offense going in the right direction. So Wan'Dale Robinson, if he's there, go pick him up as well. Now I'm taking a flyer on Troy Franklin, a guy that's really boom or bust every single week, but he only needs 2 or 3 catches to have a productive fantasy day for our lineups. At the tight end, it's Dalton Schultz, it's Tommy Tremble. Tremble of the Panthers was okay last week, and Schultz has been the consistent option. 8 fantasy points the last 3 weeks in full PPR leagues, and they're playing Baltimore next week. Again, not a great pass defense or defense in general. Kicker, Matt Prater. He is owned in a lot of leagues, but I want to throw him on here because if he is available, he's playing the Patriots next week. And if you didn't know, Prater is the kicker of the Buffalo Bills. So Prater in a big game next week in a divisional matchup, defenses are going to shine, and I think Prater's going to have to make some big-time kicks against the New England Patriots. Defensively, Arizona is up at home playing the Tennessee Titans, and they are just getting after the quarterback every single week. Though they're not winning games, they are forcing a lot of turnovers, and they're generating some fantasy production. So here is the tail of the tape, the best at every single position. That was a lot of rambling in just a few minutes, but I do want to close on this. We're approaching 18,000, so support us if you do enjoy. But most importantly, if you have any questions about your lineup or you just want a second opinion, I've been doing this for years, man. Drop it in the comment section and I get back to every single comment.